The story begins with Romy, a stunning and confident woman who is also the CEO of a prestigious company. One morning as she walks toward her office, a stray dog suddenly lunges at her. Frozen in fear, she braces herself until a calm, commanding voice calls the dog off. A young man steps forward and effortlessly soothes the animal. His name is Samuel, a 23-year-old with striking good looks, confidence, and a presence that's impossible to ignore. Later that day, Romy arrives at her office where her assistant introduces a group of new interns. To her surprise, among them is Samuel, the same man who saved her just hours earlier. They exchange a look of recognition. From the beginning, Samuel stands out. He's fearless, outspoken, and not afraid to ask bold questions, setting him apart from the rest. During a coffee break, Romy approaches him and asks how he managed to calm the dog so easily. With a casual smile, he replies, "I had a cookie in my pocket. I just used it to distract him." His relaxed confidence lingers with her. That night, Romy lies in bed with her husband, but once again, he fails to satisfy her emotionally or physically. Frustrated and unfulfilled, she turns to watching videos alone, seeking an outlet for the desire that continues to build inside her. The next evening, Romy and her husband attend a company party. The room buzzes with energy and celebration, but Romy feels disconnected. Needing air, she steps out to the balcony for a smoke. Moments later, Samuel joins her. With a relaxed confidence, he says, "I chose you as my mentor in the company mentorship program." Romy is taken aback. She had no idea this had happened and finds herself momentarily speechless. Back inside, her husband invites her to dance. She declines, retreating to the edge of the crowd. Her eyes, however, are drawn across the room to Samuel. He dances with effortless rhythm, completely immersed in the moment. At one point, his tie slips off and falls to the floor, but he doesn't notice. Romy does, and she doesn't take her eyes off him the entire time. The next morning at the office, she notices his tie still lying on the floor. Quietly, she picks it up and takes it back to her private office. Holding it delicately, she brings it close to her face, breathing in its scent, and then presses a gentle kiss to the fabric, confused yet captivated by the pull Samuel has over her. This moment marks a turning point. Romy becomes more conscious of her fading youth and starts investing in skin treatments and therapy, trying to reclaim the beauty and allure she feels slipping away. The next day, she finds herself face to face with Samuel in the elevator. Calmly and confidently, he reminds her, "Under the mentorship program, I'm entitled to 10 minutes of your time." Without making eye contact, Romy coldly replies, "I don't have time for that," and walks away. Later, her assistant urges her to reconsider, pointing out that engaging with the interns could give her valuable insight into the company's culture. Begrudgingly, Romy agrees to a brief meeting with Samuel. As they sit across from each other in her office, she says curtly, "You have exactly 7 minutes. Ask your question." Unfazed, Samuel dives in, boldly questioning one of her recent executive decisions. Romy is taken aback. No one has ever spoken to her like this before. She's irritated, but also intrigued. She stands to leave, but Samuel steps in front of her. Slowly, he leans in, and for a brief moment, the tension between them explodes into a kiss. Romy, stunned by her own response, abruptly pulls away. "This shouldn't be happening," she says quietly before leaving the room in a rush. Trying to suppress her growing attraction, Romy throws herself into her work, but it's not easy, especially when her marriage continues to leave her emotionally and physically dissatisfied. Her longing for Samuel intensifies. One day at work, Samuel reminds her, "We're still due for our weekly mentorship meeting. It's company policy." Romy avoids giving a clear answer. "I'll think about it," she says. That night, another company party is in full swing. Samuel is there too, and their eyes meet across the room. Despite the crowd and the noise, the air between them crackles with tension. Romy tries to look away, but can't. Their gaze lingers longer than it should. Eventually, Romy remembers some unfinished work and quietly slips out of the party early. When she arrives at her office, the lights are dim and the building is mostly empty. On her desk lies a small note. It reads only a hotel name, a room number, and a time. The next day, despite every rational thought screaming at her to stay away, Romy finds herself outside the hotel. Her heart pounds as she approaches the room. The door creaks open. Samuel is already there, waiting. Without a word, he steps inside, and Romy follows. "This is wrong," she says, the conflict in her voice evident. "We shouldn't be meeting like this. Whatever this is, it has to stop." Samuel smiles calmly. "Then why did you come?" Romy hesitates, unable to answer. "You're young," she finally whispers. "I don't want to take advantage of you." But Samuel's gaze sharpens. "Right now, I have the power. If I tell anyone about us, you'll lose everything." Romy is stunned. He steps closer. Have you ever thought about giving up control? Quietly, almost to herself, Romy replies, no. I've always been the one in control. Samuel smirks. I don't think so. He leans in. Romy instinctively tries to step back, but he whispers, stay calm. The air thickens with tension. Samuel picks up a piece of chocolate and holds it in front of her. Crawl to me, he says. Romy stiffens. No, she says, trying to reclaim her composure. But Samuel doesn't flinch. Get on all fours, he orders. Something in Romy surrenders. She slowly lowers herself to the floor. As she crawls forward, Samuel holds the chocolate just out of reach. Wordlessly, she takes it with her mouth. He gently strokes her back, and for the first time in a long while, she feels seen. Not as a CEO, not as a wife or a mother, but as a woman. That night changes everything. Romy leaves the hotel shaken, but satisfied in a way she hasn't felt in years. It marks the beginning of something new, intoxicating, dangerous, and deeply physical. Samuel gives her something her husband never could: passion, dominance, and emotional release. But Romy is torn. She's still his boss. She's older. She's married, with children. Despite the guilt, their secret meetings continue. In the office, at hotels, even brief encounters in elevators, each one more intense than the last. Romy begins to change. Her body language softens. Her once constant tension begins to fade. Her colleagues notice her lighter mood, the subtle glow on her face, but no one knows the reason behind it. Samuel, always bold and assertive, becomes the center of her secret life. Then, one evening, Romy returns home to find Samuel casually talking with her husband and daughter in the living room. Her heart nearly stops. She approaches quickly. Samuel, unfazed, smiles. You forgot your laptop at the office, he says smoothly. I thought I'd return it. Romy forces a smile, then quickly ushers him outside. In the car, her tone changes. Furious, she hisses, what were you thinking? My family is everything to me. Don't ever come to my house again. Her voice breaks slightly. This has to stop. If anyone finds out, Samuel, visibly angry now, glares at her. So that's it? You're done with me? The argument escalates until Samuel throws the door open and storms off into the night. The next morning, Romy receives a message from him. Meet me on the rooftop. Later that day, they stand beneath the open sky, the city below humming in the distance. If you really want this to end, Samuel says, I'll request a transfer. Romy stiffens. Number a sudden change like that. It'll raise questions. If the company finds out, you're worried about your job, he says coldly. That night, Romy lies beside her husband, lost in thought. When he tries to be affectionate, she recoils. You've never satisfied me, she snaps. Not once. Shocked, he stares at her, speechless. Romy grabs her coat and storms out of the room. Feeling overwhelmed, she wanders into a bar, one where Samuel works part-time. She spots him behind the counter and walks toward him. I just want to talk, she says quietly. Samuel looks at her, expressionless. Then he turns away, saying nothing. The next morning, Romy's husband asks about her behavior the night before. She brushes it off, saying she just lost her temper. Then she gets ready and heads to work. At the office, Romy approaches Samuel. I want to continue our relationship, she says. Samuel looks at her and replies calmly, if you want this, you'll have to follow all my rules. Romy hesitates, but eventually agrees. From that point on, Samuel takes full control. He brings her to a hotel and commands, take off your clothes. Romy obeys. Samuel looks at her and says, you're beautiful. Their relationship shifts. Samuel becomes the dominant one, and Romy willingly submits. Whatever he asks, she follows without question. And strangely, both seem happy. Days later, Romy is hosting her daughter's birthday party at home. The doorbell rings. She opens it and sees her assistant along with Samuel. The assistant smiles. I hope it's okay. I brought Samuel. He's my boyfriend. Romy freezes but masks her shock. She texts Samuel to meet her in the kitchen. There, her voice trembling with jealousy, she says, I can't watch you with someone else. You're mine. Just then, the assistant walks in. Romy falls silent. Samuel leaves with her. The next day, Romy calls her assistant into her office. You're senior to him, she says sternly. Dating an intern could affect your promotion. But the following day, her assistant shows up at Romy's house. Calmly, she says, I know everything about you and Samuel. Then she adds, break up with him and give me the promotion I deserve. You're a role model for women, Romy. Don't ruin everything over a mistake. After she leaves, Romy breaks down. That night, when her husband returns, she confesses. "I've had strange fantasies since I was young," she admits. "You were never interested in them. I had needs you couldn't fulfill, and I met someone who did. I know it was wrong." Her husband is crushed. "Do I know him?" he asks. "No," Romy lies. "He was a stranger. It only happened once." But he doesn't believe her. "You betrayed me," he shouts. "You didn't even think about the kids." He throws her out of the house. Romy packs her bags and moves out. That night, she sees Samuel swimming in her new building's pool. She approaches him and says, "You need to leave." But Samuel pulls her into the water. They kiss. Their connection flares again. Back inside, Romy's husband suddenly appears. Furious, he tries to take Romy away, but Samuel stands in his way. A heated fight breaks out until Romy steps between them. Her husband yells, "My wife used you to live out her twisted fantasies." But Samuel defends her. That's not true. Suddenly, Romy's husband clutches his chest. He's having a panic attack. Samuel immediately helps, offering water and support. After recovering, both men leave in silence. Romy is left alone. Days later, her daughter visits. "Dad isn't coming home," she says. "He stays at the theater and barely eats. He misses you, Mom." Romy decides to go see her husband. At the theater, she breaks down in front of him, begging for forgiveness. "I made a mistake," she says. "Please, let's start over." After a long pause, he embraces her. They agree to try again. A few days later, back at the office, a board member tells Romy, "Samuel moved to Japan. He's working there now." Then he looks at her. "Did you have anything to do with his transfer?" Romy doesn't answer. The board member smirks and adds, "I'm home alone tonight. You could come over." Romy stares him down. "I'm not afraid of you," she says coldly. "Now leave." That night, Romy is in bed with her husband. He's trying his best to meet her desires, and for the first time, she genuinely enjoys the moment. But as she closes her eyes, her thoughts drift. In her mind, she's back in that hotel room with Samuel. He's holding her close. His voice, his touch, his dominance, it all comes rushing back. Through her affair with Samuel, Romy discovered a side of herself she never knew existed. He awakened something in her: passion, submission, desire, something she could never forget. Drop a comment below if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss our next uploads.